Okay, in my last screencast, or after my last screencast, I noticed that the user, when the bird is falling after the game has ended, the user can um, basically reset the game immediately. And if they do that, because I'm using the space key for both starting a new game and for going up and down, it can get a little confusing because the user the game will end, but before the user was already pressing the space key to go up and down, but before the bird hits the ground, if they continue pressing the space key thinking they haven't hit the pillar yet, a new game will start. And it's a little bit disconcerting, so I'm going to add one more feature for the game, and that feature is it's going to force the user to wait for the bird to hit the ground before they can start a new game. So I'm going to go into the bird class, and when I set the ordinarily set the game to finished, instead of setting it to finished uh, game, I'm going to set it to be game ended falling. Alright, and then I won't set it to be finished. Let's see. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and I'm going to change that to be game ended falling. So that causes him to fall. And then finally, here, let's see, I'm going to say else, and I'm going to say set game state, no, world.set game state finished, world.set game state finished. So essentially, the game automatically goes into this falling mode. And if you look in my world, there's no such thing where, oh, I forgot, I will need to change one thing in just a second. So, alright, now I need to go back into my world, and instead of it being else, I need to make it else if game state dot equals finished. Okay, so now the the program is only going to listen for the space key to start a new game if the game state is either finished or in startup mode. But because when the bird collides with a tower, it puts the game state into this state called game ended falling, which eventually changes the game state to finished when the bird hits the ground. The user is only going to be able to start a new game when the bird is already on the ground. So let's give it a shot and see if that fixed the problem that I mentioned. So I'm going to collide with a pillar. Okay, and sure enough, he did hit the ground. Have to hit the ground first. All right. Ooh, I thought of one last issue, and that is right now it's possible for the bird to fly above the top pillar. Okay, which I don't want. So, so let's see how I'm going to fix that. Alright, I think I'm going to solve that by just preventing the bird from flying above the pillar, even though the top pillar, even though the bird is off the screen and the pillar is off the screen. So I'm going to go into the bird class where I listen for the key press for the bird to fly over, to flap, and that's going to be right here. So instead of can flap, I'm also going to say and get y is greater than like -75. And that would mean the bird is pretty much off, if the bird's off the screen, they can't go any higher, flap again if they're already above -75 pixels, which the top of the pillar, I believe, is going to always be above that. So that's going to prevent them from flying off the screen. So let's see if that works. Okay, so I'm going to try to fly off the screen. And sure enough, good. So that did fix it. That prevented the user from cheating and flying over the pillar, which would have been a possibility. Alright, I think that's the end of the screencast for this Flappy Bird game. I'm going to leave it up to you guys to add the sound effects and maybe add the graphics for the scores and the directions. I can help you with that, but at least right now you'll have a basic game that is functional. Alright, cheers.